Oh my god. Hi, do you want to be in the video? How are... No. She just wandered. She's like smashing the blind. Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Today's video is going to be a Q&A, so this may be a very chatty video. I asked you on Instagram, ask me any questions you want. Let me show you the picture though that I put on Instagram. If you want to ever talk to me, Instagram's where I am. But here is a picture of Lola. She was asleep, and like Lola doesn't like to be dressed up at all. That's my cat, by the way. And so I had like a small window to get a scarf on her, get a book in front of her, get a little kettle. I got a little teacup. Like, this is what I spend my spare time doing, tricking cats into clothes. And so I said on that picture, ask me what you want, and I got loads of questions, so I'm just going to go through them and answer them all. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. Okay, Lil's Vintage World, love you Lil, we need to meet up in real life. She says, when did you first start reading Paddington Bear, and has your attitude to the books changed as you have gotten older? So my first Paddington Bear was last month. It was that Paddington Bear book which I said, Paddington at the Tower, which was about the Tower of London, which I love because I love Anne Boleyn and Paddington Bear's so cute, but I didn't read as a child, so a lot of well-known children's fiction, I have no idea. Like, people are like, talk about your childhood books. I don't have any. Like, I refused to read as a child. I don't know why. I think it's because I had dyslexia, but I didn't realise I had dyslexia. So reading was just a struggle for me, and I just wasn't interested in reading at all. So has your reading changed as you've gotten older? When I first started reading, I was very much into like, there's a lot happening in the plot, that's great. Whereas now I'm more into the psychology of the character. So less happening in the book, but more like emotional things happening. I've just got a lot more emotional as I've gotten older. She also asked, what do you think of the Paddington films 1 and 2? It's the Paddington Bear films. Paddington Bear 1, I saw it with my dad and absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastic film. Paddington Bear 2, don't go near it. Paddington Bear 2, I felt like it was too glitz, glam, Hollywood, and Paddington is just cozy. It's about this little bear who grew up in Peru, and then he comes over to the UK and he meets this gorgeous London family called the Browns, and it's just so quaint, and it's what I would think of as like the English dream. Like, not a lot of people live in the really wealthy areas in London in like a 3-story house. Like, you have to be very rich to do that, but I like how it's put in kind of the everyday cuddly, I wouldn't even say middle class, I say upper class lifestyle. It's just gorgeous and lovely. But Paddington Bear 2 just goes straight to Hollywood. Like, it just didn't enjoy it at all. I didn't even like Hugh Grant in it either. Tell me your opinions if any of you have seen it. She also says, Anne Boleyn has to be done. When did you start taking an interest in her and her story? I was in year 4, so I was like 9 years old, and we were learning all about the Tudors, and first off, it was just very superficial. I loved the Tudor costume and jewellery, and that was it. And I have here a little Tudor rose pendant that I always wear. I love the Tudor rose, I think it's a gorgeous design. And then we had to memorise Henry VIII, all his wives, the dates they died, which, why do we do that to children? Why do we put so many like useless information that they have to hold in their little brains and panic about and everything? And so we had to do like a fact file on the Tudors, and I chose to do Anne Boleyn. You could like choose whoever you wanted. Everyone did Henry. I think I was the only one that did Anne. And I thought of, because the reason she was killed is because Henry said that she had an incestuous relationship with her brother. Like Jeremy Kyle, she was plotting against him, and that she was a witch. And so none of those 3 things were true at all. It was just that she was a mouthy woman. And I think Henry VIII, with all the women he married, they were just playthings to him. They were just gorgeous plaything women, and then when he got bored of them, he'd drop them, divorce, do whatever, and move on. But with Anne Boleyn, he couldn't just divorce her, he had to kill her. Because she was loud and opinionated and mouthy, and I think that frightened him, and that's why he had to kill her. So I remember looking into all like Anne Boleyn and finding all this about her, and looking about it now and thinking about like the deceit, and Henry was lying about her and slandered her name. I was kind of going through a similar thing. Like, I wasn't being beheaded or anything, but I was the new girl in school when I was about 7, but everyone had been together since they were 5 years old. So I joined the class at 7 years old. It's quite a small school, and everyone started spreading these rumours about me that I got removed from my last school by the police. I was excluded. I'm a troublemaker. I've got problems. They made all this huge backstory about why I'd left the school, when I just said, guys, my parents moved house. That's literally what happened. There was no drama. They moved house. They moved to like a different town. That was it. And so because people were kind of making these lies up about me and I was quite shy, I think that's why I connected with Anne Boleyn, but I didn't realise it at the time when I was doing my little fact file and everything. But I think it was that I just like kind of connected with that deceit and people lying about you. And then as I've got older, I've learnt more about Anne and I love her and everything like that. But yeah, I wasn't being beheaded, okay, in the playground or anything. But kids just make up like ridiculous things. It's mental. And she also asked, are you interested in any other figures in history? The Romanovs, the Russian royal family, Princess Diana, because I think Diana's life before she joined the royal family is really interesting. And then when she joined the royal family and that absolute goat Camilla who can just to the high hills, let me tell you that. And like the deceit with Charles and Camilla and all that, and then her death, everything, I just think so interesting. And she did so much like great work as well, Diana, while she was alive. Frida Kahlo, Anne Boleyn, Boudica. Oh my god, Boudica fascinates me to no end. I need to talk more about Boudica on the channel. So many different people. So thank you for your comments, Lil. Next person is Lindsay Bren. Have you read any Frankenstein retellings? If so, which do you love / hate? Frankenstein is my favourite book and I really hate retellings. So like, don't really know what to say about that. If anyone knows any good ones that are actually good and not going to make me like hate Frankenstein, then please let me know down below. And can we just all agree on one thing? Hold hands. There are too many Alice in Wonderland retellings in this world. I can't even look at another one. But no, I haven't read any retellings. Mel 2016. I'm curious, curious, what's your favourite genre to read is? Your reading material is so eclectic. Look at these compliments, which I love. Oh, thanks. Like such low self-esteem. Like I'm like, oh. Also, what are your opinions on fairy tales? So I'll do the first bit. Favourite genre used to be horror. I loved horror. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein really got me into atmospheric horror, and then I thought, oh, let's go to all like the most successful horrors. So I read Silence of the Lambs, I read The Exorcist, I read the Amityville Horror. Crap. Like they're nowhere near as good as the films, and they were books first, and they just don't have atmosphere to it. They're just kind of shock horror in a lot of the books, and they don't interest me at all. So I've gone well out of horror, although I was dragged back in by The Woman in Black. I thought it was really good when I read that. And Jaqueline Hyde's really good as well. So it used to be horror, now it's just stuff that's kind of about the everyday but a little bit normal, like someone having an affair, which happens all the time, but the psyche of that, I find all that things fascinating because they're things that actually happen. But I've never had an affair, I would never have an affair, it's just how people get to that. Some more like psychology books, I would say. She also says, what are your opinions on fairy tales? I've got some opinions, don't you worry, Mel. Or books based on fairy tales. It seems like they aren't your favourite from what you've said in videos before. You are correct. I liked Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, but I cannot stand the Brothers Grimm. I find them just so repetitive. I read Snow White by the Brothers Grimm and a few others, and they're just like nursery rhymes. They're like, she knocked on the door, there was no answer. She knocked on the door, there was no... Like, they all read a little bit like Goldilocks and Three Bears, you know. Though poor, this beard's too big, this beard's too big. I can't stand that repetitiveness within any kind of books. So that's why I don't like fairy tales, but tell me any that aren't that repetitive, because The Little Mermaid really isn't. It's just very, very beautiful. I just haven't been exposed to ones that aren't like, you know, mind-numbing, to be honest with you. Rebecca Ann 1865. Oh, what are your favourite books as a child, and have you revisited any of them as an adult? If so, what do you think, and did your opinions change? Did not read as a child, but when I first started reading, it was Jacqueline Wilson. I am reading one which is called Opal Plumstead by Jacqueline Wilson, and she's kind of gone into more like historical fiction. So Jacqueline, right, some of you might not know, Jacqueline Wilson used to do things about like really hard-hitting subjects, about like children in care and children going for abuse, and someone's mum killed herself in the bath and all this different stuff, and it was really heavy. And now she's gone into more kind of girls in history, so in going into like the suffragettes movement and girls placed historically, which I think is really interesting, and that's what Opal Plumstead is really about. And so I'm really enjoying that so far, but I haven't reread any of the original ones, but I still feel like I'd love them. Let me give you some suggestions. Illustrated Mum is bloody brilliant. The Diary of Tracy Beaker is really good as well, and Vicky Angel. They're my three, I think, favourite Jacqueline Wilsons ever. but I haven't revisited them. Maybe I should and do a video on that if anyone's interested. Okay, love strawberry fields. Sorry. Hey Hannah. Hey. Do you have any books to recommend to me that take place in a jungle/desert island? I'm in the mood right now. I know classics of, I love it when people put that instead of obviously, they're like of, like Lord of the Flies and Treasure Island. Just wondering if you know of any hidden gems that get overlooked in that department. I would say Just So Stories by Rudyard Kipling. Love it. It's a short story collection. It's about like how the elephant got his trunk, and it will just take you to India, and it is so, oh, you're in the jungles of India. It's just gorgeous. Love that, but I don't really know of any others. Can we just say also Lord of the Flies? I was reading Lord of the Flies and it got so repetitive with that bloody conch. I haven't got the conch. I've got the conch. Piggy's got the conch. I couldn't, but I need to find that and like finish it off. But I was enjoying it up to that point. I just think the repetitive nature of it just irritated me massively. The next person, I can't pronounce your name. Is it Sammy Huh? I'm not sure. And it says, do you read books in any other language than English? I can only read English. I can only speak English, but I do read translated fiction. So say something's originally written in German and it's been translated into English, then I'll read it. I really like Sophie Divry's The Library of Unrequited Love, which she's French, so it was originally written in French, and I've read the English translation, but I can't read any other languages. But I have so many French books that are written in French. Every time I go to France, I just buy so many French books from Vide Greniers, which are basically our equivalent of boot sales, and I got a gorgeous edition of Disney's The Aristocats in novel format. It's in French, it's just stunning illustration, it's gorgeous. But I can't read French, so I've got graphic novels that are in French. I just think like one day I'm going to live in Paris. I'm not going to have children or anything like that. I'm just going to save my money and I'm going to live in Paris in a gorgeous apartment filled with French books, a little library. Oh, it's my dream, because I don't really want to like get married. That doesn't interest me and that kind of stuff, but living in Paris certainly does. The next question is from Zoe May. I think it's said like that. I didn't just go mad. Hi Zoe. She says, what does your boyfriend do when you've got your nose in a book? Do you both read together? Sometimes we do read together, or he likes to watch like sci-fi. So he watched the new like Lost in Space and Black Mirror and that kind of stuff, which I'm not actually very into. I can see how it's genius, like world building and all that is so imaginative and great. I'm just not that interested in it at all. So when he's watching sci-fi, I'm normally reading. We did watch, although, some of the new Star Trek. He watched all of the new Star Trek and really liked it. I like Star Trek, the original first ever series. I think it's fantastic. It's camp, it's great, love it. Didn't like any of the other Star Treks, really, to be honest with you. But the new one, I did actually like. I thought it was pretty good. So when he's watching sci-fi, I'm normally reading, to be honest with you. That's just how the relationship goes. And then she also asked, how to read around working. Your reading vlogs are so packed, and I never have book motivation after a long work day. This is me assuming you still have your old job, but hoping you don't, and YouTube is your work life, because I need more videos. Oh my god, I'd love YouTube to be my work life. Thank you, Zoe. I don't have my old job. I used to work as a shop assistant, and I used to read on the bus to work, so on the commute in and out of work and on my lunch breaks. I now have a different job, but I don't have to commute, and I just really snatch time wherever I can. So if I'm walking home, then I'll stop in the park and read there. If I'm having a bath, if my boyfriend's watching a sci-fi program. The other day we took the car in to get the headlamps in, and it was like, oh, we're just gonna be a second. It was hours, but I had a book on me, so I was just reading, just wherever I can kind of snatch the time. Then I'll snatch a little bit of time and do some reading, but I definitely don't read as much as I used to. And I think don't force yourself to read. So if you've had a really long hard day at work, sometimes reading, like, you have to use more brain power, I feel, than watching a film. So it's just easier to sit down and just watch a film and just enjoy it than like force yourself to read, because you're not going to enjoy the book. So I would say just anytime you can like snatch a little bit of time for reading, do it. Also, I go down and visit my parents. So I live in Bristol, but my parents live in Essex. So on the train there, or if we drive there, I read the whole time, so I get quite a lot of reading done there, to be honest with you. So that is how I read. And then we have a comment from Binks, who says, do you do buddy reads? If so, I'd love to do one with you. I don't think I've ever done a buddy read, but we're going to do one now, 100%. I don't think I've ever done it because I'm quite a slow reader, so just know that. I'll probably be like, haven't read that chapter yet that we said we were going to read by today, because I have dyslexia. I'm quite slow, but Binks, message me. We already talk on Instagram, so I'll message you and we'll do a buddy read. And the last comment is by Missy Dragons. Hi, I love your Instagram, girl. If you won the lottery, what would be the first thing you would do with the money? Save it. How boring. You know, people are like, I'd go on a yacht, I'd go on a cruise, I'd save it for my future. Boring. For my apartment in Paris, I would save it for that. I would put it towards something, because I just find it so mental when people win the lottery, or they like work really hard and they come into a lot of money. Maybe they like become a celebrity or something, so they get a lot of money coming in quick and then they just spend it all, and money doesn't last forever, not at all, and so you just have to spend it wisely. And I'm very thrifty, so I would just save it. What a boring thing to say. Sorry about that. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow me over on Instagram, and then next time I'm doing like a Q&A, you can ask me a question if you want, and we can chat. Maybe I'll do a Q&A with my boyfriend at some time if you're interested in that. And yeah, that's it. I hope you're having a great day. The llama's back in town. So I'm going to go now, let you get back to your days, and I'll see you again soon, very soon, for another video. Goodbye.